just introduce myself. My name is Vaibhav Puranik. I've been living in LA for a long time. I'm a real estate investor, and I have done a lot of experiments with my kids and them learning about money. And interestingly, my investors also teach me a lot of stuff. So there have been investors who have been taught me some stuff. So today I have 7 different stories for you of how sort of my teaching with my kids evolved. And one of the out of the 6 stories are mine, and one story is of my investor. Um, so let's begin with that. First of all, just to level set, right? I'm going to talk about all ages of kids. Okay, so um, but my kids right now are at this age. I have a 12-year-old son and a 16-year-old daughter. But there are some things that are applicable for even more than 18-year-old people, kids as well. And there are some stories that are applicable to younger kids than 12-year-old as well. So that's the idea today. So let's start from our story number 1. So here's what happened, okay? When I used to go to India pretty often, right? I still go every year, and I used to take my kids there. And what I noticed was the people there used to be perplexed about what to give to my kids, because my kids, they were Americans, so they didn't really like the stuff that those parents or grandparents and other people sort of gifted them, right? So we started telling them, well, if you can't just pick out what, if you can't understand what to give, then simply give money, right? And then we can buy whatever they want from that money. That was an easy sort of way to get gifts. So they started, and they all listened, and they started giving money. And we noticed that the grandparents one, they were giving a lot of money. And when I say a lot of money, it means it was $100. And $100 for a kid is a big amount, right? And that too, I'm talking about 6 years ago or something. It's a fairly big amount, actually, for kids. And my wife's dad is actually an exporter. So he actually has dollars, US dollars in India. So he actually used to give him cash, US dollars. And so I started getting concerned that, okay, these kids is having all this money. What are they going to do with it? So then at that point, I made a rule that, all right, whatever money you're getting, you can't spend it all. In fact, I'm going to set a rule today that whatever money you're getting, you have to save 50% of it. And then the rest 50%, you can spend it however you want. So you can buy something for you. In fact, I didn't use the word save at all. I used the word invest. That means you have to invest the money. Okay, you can't just save it, to keep it somewhere. You have to actually actively put that money to work. And that way you will benefit in future. So then they said, okay, that makes sense. I mean, they were 5, 6 years younger than this. So then when we came back from that trip, my son asked me all right, I have this money. I mean, take the 50% of it, give me the 50%. I mean, he take this $100 bill, give me $50. I know how to spend $50, but you have to tell me what to do with this $50. And then I realized that, oh, I need to create some infrastructure now. Now that they have money, you can't just keep them in cash, right? You have to put that money to work. And so then I started researching at that point. How do I create this infrastructure? That means I realized that, okay, I'm going to need a bank account, okay, and I'm going to need some sort of investment account, brokerage account as well. So I researched various different bank accounts. And then after researching various different bank accounts, I found out that, oh, you can't really open Bank of America account for kids that are under 16. But you can open Capital One Money Teen account for anybody who's 10 or up. So I immediately opened Capital One Money Teen account, and I was able to open it for both. At that point, I think my daughter was like 12, 13. My son was even 8 or something, 8, 9. And I was able to open accounts for them. And they gave them debit cards for them. Like everything was set up pretty quickly, right? Uh, and recently, when I researched, I realized that all these other banks also have kids accounts, some sort of kids accounts. So you can open them in Chase, US Bank, like uh, Wells Fargo, like pretty much everywhere. Essentially, you can open these accounts everywhere. Okay, so I opened a bank account, and then I immediately also realized, okay, I need an investing account, a brokerage account. So then I started researching that. Uh, at that point, there was an app that was popular, and it was called Stockpile. So I opened a Stockpile account, and then I started. I deposited that money into Stockpile, and then they can start investing from there. And Stockpile would give a investing account to my kids as well, right? Now, unfortunately, Stockpile shut down completely, and all their accounts got migrated to this another company called Stash, but it exists today. And later on, I myself migrated from Stockpile to Greenlight because it had many more features. It had sort of approvals. Like if the kids are doing some action, it will come to me for approval, and I can approve it, and then they can do it. So there was a lot of interesting stuff that Greenlight brings. The only problem with Greenlight is that there's a monthly fee. There's a free plan also, but in the free plan, you can do some stuff that I wanted to do. So I ended up getting the paid plan, which was like $5 per month or something, and that's probably good enough. And hopefully, the investment will, um, paid off, and the education that my kids get will pay it off. Yeah. So Greenlight, Stash, and Fidelity Youth are just three examples, but there are other brokerages who offer what they call custodial accounts, or these are the accounts that kids can operate. And of course, they have a little bit of differences, what kids can do, what kids cannot do, and all of that stuff. Now, so now they had a bank account, they had a brokerage account, and they had money, right, to do with it. But then I realized that, okay, well, my two kids are different, right? My daughter was different and my son was different. My son immediately jumped onto it and said, all right, uh, I set up, and then without me even intervening, he started like, oh, where should I invest? Like, and he started like blurting out these names to me. And he's into tech and all, right? So he's just like, oh, can I do Apple? Can I do Google? Can I do? And he started taking all these names, NVIDIA, and he's the guy who like recently built his own computer, like PC and all that stuff. So he knows technology companies, and I'm like, all right, do it. And I tried to a little bit tell him about um, uh, uh, where, I mean, index funds and all that stuff, but it didn't go really well. He just ended up buying whatever. So the key thing that I realized that if I'm going to make this interesting to them, then I can't choose what they're investing in. They have to choose what they're investing in, right? And so I started giving them free hand. And maybe initially I even used to ask a question, well, why are you investing in this company? Like, is there even point in doing that? And they used to tell me some reason, that's kids specific. So they're not going to tell me that the PE ratio for this company is good, right? Obviously. They're going to tell me like, this is, by the way, what you see on the screen is my real portfolio of my daughter. Okay. So it's actually like, these are the stocks she has, and these are the money that she has right now in one Greenlight account. Um, and the reason she invested in Chipotle was because she likes Chipotle. That's it. It was as simple as that. She likes Chipotle. Um, and she invested Tesla because we had Teslas, and my son they discuss, right, sometimes. And she got bought into that whole like spiel that my son gave. Right. So they were just doing it. And then she invested at some point in Nike as well because she liked Nike shoes and she's into soccer and all that stuff. So the first lesson that I realized that I'm not going to force them to invest in anything, even though I'm telling them about index funds, I'm not going to force them or let them commit mistakes, let them just do whatever they want. And then they will realize eventually this was a good decision, that was a good decision. Another thing that I thought to make it interesting was after they started doing for a while, oh, I thought, oh, I have two kids, right? Why don't I create a competition between them? And that'll make it a little bit more interesting. So then, and they also bought into it. So then what happened is in 9/11 of last year, I launched the competition saying, today I'm giving both of you $500. And at that point, we were migrating from Stockpile to Greenlight, right? So I opened Greenlight account and I deposited $500 in both of their accounts. I said, these $500, you can buy whatever you want. Okay. I'm not going to talk anything about it. And the next 9/11, which is this year's, and it's coming up pretty fast, actually. It's exactly 1 month, actually. And I'm going to review your portfolio, and whoever has more in it, you will get a reward. And I didn't disclose what the reward is, but I'll make it something meaningful. Right? And so they bought into it, and that seemed to work out well. And then sometimes they discuss in the middle of year with each other. They try to, even though it's a competition between them, it's a friendly competition, right? So they understand that. They do that. And then I also realized that, well, my son kind of doesn't need, he will like watch YouTube videos, learn itself. But my daughter is more like she needs a book to read or she needs to go through a course or something. Then I just started researching about financial literacy courses. And then I found like bunch of them. Actually, the one course that she did, it's not mentioned here because I think that was not a great course, in my opinion. But these are the courses that are even better than that. So there's like a lot of free courses available on internet, and some of them are for really, really reputed organizations. For example, FDIC and CFPB are government organizations, right? Consumer Financial Protection Bureau and Federal Credit Insurance Corporation, right? These are all like, and then there's this guy, Easy Peasy Finance is also really, really good course. So then I think it's worth like if you, it depends on your kid is interested in going through. So I made her do this course last summer when she was out of school, or rather, she was also okay with it. That's why I didn't make me do my kid, the son, because both are different and both learn from different ways. And I think it did benefit. The course did benefit to my daughter, and she got a little bit more interested in it after that. So then I thought my daughter turned 13 at some point in time, right? So then I started thinking that, okay, if she's 13 or she's turning 13, can I actually build her credit history from now instead of waiting to for her to turn 18? So then my easiest thing for me was I had an Amex Platinum card. I just added her as an authorized user on that Platinum card. And after adding her and going through all of that stuff and putting her SSN on that card, recently I discovered that I made a mistake. I shouldn't have done that because it's not going to benefit her at all. And let me explain why. So first of all, there's a concept of authorized users in all credit cards. That means you can add your wife or husband or whoever it is, or your kids, or a random stranger if you wanted to, as an authorized user. But not everybody reports authorized users' activities to credit bureaus. And not only that, not everybody reports minor authorized users' activities to credit bureaus. Okay, so this is very important. Some companies report authorized users' activities as long as they are more than 18. And some companies report all authorized users' activities irrespective of their age or their after 13. And I found that, especially, I think Capital One reports everyone. There's actually an article link down there. You can check an article, and that article specifies which authorized user activity is reported and which one is not. But what I found is that Capital One does report even minor users. Now, the beauty of this is that the credit history of it, your kid benefits from your activities as well. So if you spend money, your kid's credit score will also become better. So and if they spend money, your credit score will be better. Of course, you don't need that probably because they're going to spend a small amount of money. But this is one way to get them started building their credit history before they turn 18. So you don't have to actually wait for them to turn 18. So I just thought this was an interesting thing that I discovered that everybody should know, that if your kids are not 18 yet, and if you happen to open a credit card for them, add them as authorized user, they will benefit from your credit activity. So that's something. So I have an Amex Platinum still, but I'm going to open a Capital One credit card just because it reports credit user history. Right. So that was another thing. Now, meanwhile, my son again is a different beast, right? Um, Now he used to come to me every month, and or he still does, and ask for like a new gadget, right? And the gadget could be a 3D printer, it could be whatever, it could be some part in the PC that he has, or it could be even some software. Like it just now, look, all of us are at a stage where we can afford all of these things. It's not a big deal, right? But then I realized that if I just give him everything that he wanted, like he's not going to be responsible, and he just won't understand like um, value of these things. So we purposely decided that, well, A, we're not going to give everything that he wants. And B, instead, we're going to encourage them or him to do something else instead, which is uh, to figure out if he has a creative way to like get that thing, we will come in their way as well, right? Especially my son's way. So then he started like, he did like two, three very interesting things. So he used to have a small 3D printer that we had bought from him, like was a cheap one, like $230 or something. Right. This is like 3 years ago. So what he started doing is started printing stuff on it. And then he used to go to school and sell those things for like $1 or two or something. Right. So when he was doing that, the printer would actually tell it what is the material cost for it. So once I had a conversation with him and I said, like, look, if your material cost is 40 cents, you can't sell it for 40 cents. You have to sell it for way more, like $1 or $2, because you need to have a margin there. Correct? Um, and they they realized it. I mean, he understood it that okay. I told him that you're using electricity here, right? There's other costs that are not hidden. So he understands, and he started selling them for a little bit more than, or 50%, 70% more than what the cost that the printer was showing it. So that was good. Like you earned a little bit of lesson about like how to run a small business in a way. Right? But then after that, I said, well, I'm not going to give you money for this material or the filament that's required for this printing. You have to source it yourself, right? From this money. What's the point if I give it to you? Then it's not a business. So he grudgingly agreed to that as well. Then we went further and he said, well, now I can't really use these printers because I my needs are bigger and I need to print bigger things. So I said, okay, but I'm not going to give you money for the new printer, right? 3D printer. So then he said, I don't know, he discussed something with mom and then he came to me and said, well, there is a thing called Facebook Marketplace. Can I sell this printer on Facebook Marketplace and then I'll get some money and then can you give me some money? So I agreed to that. Then he went through the whole process of like selling stuff on Facebook Marketplace with his mom, obviously. He he went through all of that. He sold like few things successfully. Okay. And he was able to like source his printer, the new printer that you see. It's much more expensive himself. And then he did that with multiple things. Like he was able to like sell old laptop. Right now he's selling is a PC that is made. It's actually there on Facebook Marketplace. You can see it. It's in my wife's name, not in his name, but yeah. And he's selling it for $700 now because he wants to buy I don't know, PlayStation or something. And I said I'm not going to give any money for PlayStation. So he figured out a way to get it himself. But anyways, so I think the reason I'm selling all these examples is because uh, I think these resource constraints, right, makes them resourceful. And instead of um, instead of thinking that, oh, I can't do it, they start thinking, how can I do it, right? And I'm not saying this will always work with all the kids, but maybe a little bit of handholding, they'll start understanding that you can do these kind of things with your kids, and then they'll learn more out of it. And all of these opportunities are better for learning, right? Um, uh, not just for giving them something. And they enjoy the process also. I've seen I think he enjoys this whole process of like going. I take him with him when we go and meet the seller, that's a buyer of our things, and he comes along. Like he goes through the whole process. He decides what price to set there, and the negotiation and all of that stuff. So it's a lot they learn without even like us telling them, right? Doing it is the best way to learn, and discussing it with them. My daughter doesn't do this, but my son does it. So again, everybody's different. Um, Now, as the kids grow in age, right, parents tend to gift money to kids in various ways, right? Now, one obvious way that you guys know is 529 plans, right? Everybody has probably have 529 plans, and it's a tax efficient way, and it's easy to just like put some money and it finances their college and all of that stuff, right? But recently, like literally from July 4th, okay, uh, a new thing has started, which is It's called Trump account. And this Trump account is um, is very interesting um, in the sense that there was no concept of IRA for kids before. The only way to invest for kids to do IRA was to actually, um, if they had earned income, that means, let's say your child is a child actor, okay, your kid is a child actor, then they're actually earning money, and then you could open IRA from that money. But there's no way. If they're not earning any money, then there was simply no way. Now in this new Trump account, uh, you can put $5,000 per year. You can put $5,000 per year per kid, and that will be invested in a Robinhood account in SPY. SPY is a S&P 500 index fund, and you can keep doing that. And then at the age of 18, you can't put money anymore. Okay, and anybody can put money. Your grandparents can put money there. Your random uncle can put money. It's not prevented. Um, So Trump accounts can be used for kids born at any date as long as they're not 18. Okay, they were born in it. The only thing sometimes you will see dates associated with last 2 years or something is because the government can gift $1,000 to kids that are born in certain window in last year or two. But it's not going to be useful to any of us because there are income limits, and it is only meant for like the not so privileged section of the society, right? So it's not really meant for us or people who are well off. So don't worry about that. I mean, you don't need that $1,000 from the government, right? But the beauty of it is that you let's say you your kid is at 10 or 10, right? And you have 8 years to invest. And in those 8 years, it's like $40,000 you put every time. That $40,000 will become like a lot, like almost $1 million by the time he or she turns 60. Okay. Even if they don't put a single penny in it, just because there'll be like a 30, 18, like just 42 years of like compounding associated with it. Right. So it's the best gift you could give to your kids. Right. I mean, and then if they wanted to buy a house at their 30, they could withdraw the money and pay the interest back to that IRA. Right. They can do all of that stuff. So it's actually it's one of the best things that have happened. If you can afford it, do it. You don't have to put all 5,000. You can put 1,000, 2,000, whatever, essentially. But I think it's just like very, very useful in my opinion. So I my both the kids have Trump accounts. I put full $5,000 for both of them. My daughter is right now 16, but the way her birthday is, then I can actually do three uh, this year, next year, and the 1 year after that because she's born in June. So I can do it in every year, calendar year. So she will get 15,000 from me, and my son is 12, so he'll get 5 times 6, 30,000, or maybe 35 based on the timing. Yeah. So I think this is, and that 35,000 will become huge eventually. Uh, there are some pros and cons here for 529 plans, but it's really um, I mean, these are some of the differences between like those. One strategy that people recommend is that, okay, they can do it. They once 18, they have full control of their account, and it's meant for it just turns into an IRA, right? At that point, if they want, they can convert into Roth IRA and pay the taxes on it. And at the age of 18 or 19, 20, they're not earning much, right? So the taxes will be minimal. Or if you do it smaller amounts in chunks, you might not even pay any taxes. So I think that's one strategy to put all of this amount in. Essentially, if you convert them to Roth IRA, then the growth is completely free. They don't pay any tax at the end. And it's amazing. Like they can get $1 million for without paying a single penny of tax when they withdraw it at the age of 60. So it's actually a very, very powerful strategy. Um, it's been talked about everywhere. It's worth researching into it and going through it for your kids. Um, that's another interesting thing. And so uh, now the next one is about for more than 18 years old of kids, right? If you have one, or this is like one of my investor did this, and he's this guy. What he did is he invested $100,000 with me, or us rather, and he said, "Well, but my son is going to be the point of contact for everything, and he's going to own it." So he's essentially gifted that to his son, and he made his son, who is like 23, 24 right now, go through all the paperwork that is required for my real estate stuff, um, all of that stuff. And he made him like meet with me. He made him me pitch to him. He made him like go through the entire process. And that was really powerful because he ended up learning a lot in that process. Right? Oh, there is such a thing exists that actually like private real estate investment or passive investment. And then you have to sign all this paperwork. What does that paperwork mean? What are your responsibilities? What are my responsibilities? What are the fees involved? Like all sorts of stuff they ended up learning. So I think it was just interesting to me that he made his son go through it. And so at the same time, he gifted money, but at the same time, he also like gifted money in a way that he learns something. So that's called, I'm calling it co-investing. I'm going to publish an article on it recently because it's very, I think it's very unique and useful for people. And we don't even realize you could do that, right? Um, that's it. And you can do for other things as well, right? It doesn't have to be on passive real estate. You could do that with stocks. You can analyze with them, whatever they are interested in, or however, whatever you think will have better returns for them. Right. I just thought it was very useful. And college going kids is perfect for that. Like uh, Roth IRAs, conversion of Roth IRAs, all of that. Just do it with them. Like it'll be very useful. Um, Now, one thing that so that was a seventh sort of lesson that I learned, right, or stories. One thing that's harder for me to actually implement, right, in my kids is this delayed gratification. And delayed gratification is extremely important because um, it's investing doesn't yield you some sort of gratification immediately, right? Um, I still remember this my own story, right? It was about 2009 or something, and in 2008, if you remember, there was a mayhem going on, like in the markets. The whole financial markets had collapsed, and Bear Stearns had collapsed, and many banks had gone bankrupt, and all that stuff. I remember that I had like about $20,000 um, available to me, and I put this $20,000 in my Fidelity account, and then I kind of forgot about it, right? And years passed by, almost like I don't know, 10 years, 12 years. I don't even remember on it. And one day I realized, oh, I have this Fidelity account. Let me log into it. I logged into it, and I saw there was $100,000 there sitting there, and that was very quite eye opening. That I didn't even look at that, and they were invested in like I don't even remember what stocks they were invested in. They were invested in stocks, not even index funds. And those it grew fivefold over like 10, 12 years, right? It was amazing. It was phenomenal. Now, the tough part is teaching this to kids, right? Because they are used to you. Everybody knows marshmallow test, right? This is a real test that has been done. There's a research paper on out there. You can research it, which is the researchers went to a school and they basically did an experiment with kids. They they went to a class and they said, okay, well, I can give you one marshmallow right now, or you can wait for 15 minutes. We'll go out, we'll come back, and we'll give you two marshmallows. And you can choose either one of them. You can't choose both of them. So some kids chose one marshmallow, give me right now. And some kids said, I'll wait for 15 minutes and give me two marshmallows. Okay. And then later on, they followed those kids for like next 20 years, 30 years. And then I found out that the kids who waited for 15 minutes to get two marshmallows had better academic performances, stronger decision making skill, and greater ability to pursue long term goals. So, and they basically demonstrated more self control, and they are the ones who had the delayed gratification. That means they were willing to wait for to get bigger gain, correct? And that's what investing is, right? Investing is about waiting to get bigger gain. So it's hard, right? I mean, it's hard. My kids sometimes understand it, but most times don't understand it, right? It's a waiting that part that's very difficult to teach. And the only way I'm trying to teach them right now is to simply have them just s- have this portfolio for the next 4 or 5 years, right? There's a Microsoft that was bought like in a COVID time, almost. It was 2021, 22 or something like that. I remember discussing that in the heyday of COVID. So 22, so 4 years have passed already. And the Microsoft has grown by leaps and bounds from those days. So I just keep reinforcing them. Then you waited for 4 years for Microsoft and see how much the stock has become. And their Greenlight app and Stash app shows them like percentage increase and all that stuff. And that, actually how much money it has turned out. So you have to just show them examples that if you wait, then it's going to benefit you more. But other than that, I don't have any tricks for that. It's very, very difficult to teach them delayed gratification. I think most kids were likely to pick that one marshmallow instead of picking the two marshmallows later, right? And we do that ourselves sometimes too. But we have to keep reminding ourselves, and we have to keep reminding them that you get better reward if you wait longer. Yeah. So that's pretty much it. I mean, uh, those are the things that I think this was our journey with my kids for last 5 6 years, in how they grew up, how they started investing, and what where they are today. Right. Um, Feel free to like. I can just quickly give you a little bit of pitch about what I do actually in business. So I'm a full-time syndicator. We buy apartment complexes and we raise money from investors, and uh, we hold these apartment complexes for 5 7 10 years depending on every apartment complex. And I have other three partners with me. One person is Hemal Gandhi. There is Samir, who is actually on this call at this moment, and then another person, Gohar. And these are really, really smart people. Uh, they know how to manage this real estate. They have their own real estate outside this. Three of us are full time into it, and we're about to look for our next property. Um, and that's about. I don't want to bore you with my details, anyways, but or business details. But if you are interested, please schedule a call with me, and then I can explain more detail what a syndication means, what a passive investor means. My book is coming out. It's a 285 pages book on Amazon in like next 1 month or so. The name of the book is Own Real Estate, Not the Headache. Even if you don't want to like invest with us, the book could be useful to you in future, just to understand what syndications are. So I'll let you know when the book comes out. Anyways, yeah. But if you have any other comments or uh, anything, please, the floor is open now. Feel free to speak.
Thanks, Vaibhav. We'll definitely buy the book when it comes out.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah. We did not know about the Trump accounts. I thought it was only for only kids after 2024. I did not know that it was for
No,
everyone.
it's for anybody who's not 18.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry,
And I know that for sure because I have them opened for my kids.
Okay.
And my kids are 16 and
Yeah.
12.
He's 3. I mean 4.
So he's going to have millions of dollars, literally.
Yeah,
I'm not kidding.
millions.
If you can afford to spend $5,000 every month, every year.
Yeah. No, but thank you so much for teaching about that delayed gratification. And most important thing was like after 18, like showing the value, giving, like getting your kids involved at such an early age, right? Even at that 18 age, it was such a huge thing. I never thought about that.
Yeah.
No, coming from middle class Indian family, it was like a very different mindset. So I greatly appreciate today's call, Vaibhav. Really,
Thank you.
very
Thanks,
eye
Stefan.
opening.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey,
Vishal.
Vaibhav, Dinesh here.
Yeah, Dinesh, go ahead.
Yeah, hey, thanks for this call. A question that is brewing while you were speaking is you talked
Mhm.
a whole lot about how you encouraged your kids within the investment journey and everything. But then there was a 50% component where they could decide what to sell, what to use it for themselves, or spend.
Yeah.
How did you coach? How did you coach your kids to actually be frugal and not just frugal, but actually value and find the right value for what they need? Stuff like that. And do you have any tips around that aspect?
It's an interesting question. Look, value is very, very difficult. Uh, Value is what they say beauty is in the eyes of beholder, right? It's similar to that, right? Value is what the other person is willing to get out of it and other person is willing to pay, really. So it's a difficult question. And what I wanted to do was I didn't want to rob their freedom of spending that 50%. their way.
Mhm.
Okay, so then I didn't put additional restrictions or, I mean, of course, we as a parents tend to, they would tell us that, okay, I'm going to buy this, I'm going to buy that. And we would tell them mildly, I don't think there's a point in spending money on here. But we would not put a hard no on anything. As
Yeah.
long as, I mean, of course, if it's a meth or something, obviously I'm going to say hard no on that, right? Obviously. But as long as it's not something harmful, right? We give them freedom in that other 50%. The biggest lesson I wanted to teach them was that you got to save, invest some money, or rather invest some money. And as long as they obeyed that, they could do that whatever they wanted from that other 50%. So uh, I didn't try to like impose additional restriction. Did I answer your question or not really?
No, yeah, partially. It's not more about restriction. It was more about setting up a process in their mind to actually do the research before buying something that they really want. Uh,
Research.
and it sounds
I
like
have
your son is already into it.
My son is into it. Yeah, he does it because see what happens is resource constraint also puts them at that situation because if he has less money, then he's going to try to rely on deals and all sorts of
Yeah.
stuff. And he has done that in the past just because I have constrained the resources.
Mhm.
So that has done that. And so they know that. My daughter is more like going to be that fidelity account where she's going to just invest something and forget about it. So
Mhm.
I'm teaching her right now, like how you should just set aside some money every year or every month or whatever, and then forget about it. Like you are not interested in picking stocks, fine. Then just choose index funds and do it. But I think, yeah, I think resource constraint is the best way, which is to teach them. Then they just figure out way to get it. Uh,
Right. Right.
and you have to sometimes prompt them that, well, maybe wait. I've And this is also tied to delayed gratification. I mean, it's saying that I've tried so many times, like, why don't we wait 2 months for Thanksgiving and a deal
Mm.
will come in? Sometimes works, sometimes doesn't work. Like, there's no set pattern here.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Thank you for the session. Very
Mhm.
informative. The whole, I mean, I knew about the Trump account, but you really elaborated it. The youth account is actually something that I can start working on right now. My daughter is 9, and it
Oh,
sounds
yeah,
like she's,
it's
yeah,
perfect. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Cool. All right.
Nice.
Anything else? Anybody else? Samir? Oh, no. I thought you wanted to
No,
talk.
no, just thank you.
Oh,
I
okay,
think
cool.
I also learned quite a bit from this. Like the
Oh, that's
whole
good.
delayed gratification portion of it, which I think I might need to take notes and repeat myself as well with my son.
All right, that's cool. All
Hey,
right.
Vaibhav,
And yes.
this is Ninat. Hey, thank you for setting this up. I think this is pretty helpful. I know my kids are older, and I
Mhm.
know it's like they actually learn and started. One of them started working actually, and
Mhm.
then she realized that a few months it was kind of fun. Like you get money every month and you can
Yeah.
spend it and then you go to a concert and other stuff. But then she realized that, like having just money sitting in the account, I said, I have some of these ideas like stocks, bonds, funds
Mhm.
and stuff.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
she kind of started looking into that and, like getting into some of the accounts. I think opening those accounts are pretty easy for kids. Nowadays, it's online things are easy.
Yeah.
But I kind of asked her to kind of go over some of the online free trading things and stuff. I think that was
Mhm.
helpful. So
Mhm.
you understand how to pick the stock because I know you mentioned about
Yeah,
like
yeah.
your daughter likes some Nike or some of the things. So I said, well, those are the good names, but take a look at like how things move because sometimes what you like doesn't mean that's gonna actually move too much.
Yeah, yeah,
But I think the
absolutely,
goal is
absolutely.
to have certain
Yeah,
things per month. I think that was one of the things she liked
yeah.
and learned. So obviously, some things like Apple cannot give you dividends at certain times, so it's kind of good, and they even split the stocks. But getting something which is something like a smaller stocks, but they cannot grow fast. I think that's another thing she learned there. So it's a good thing. But
Yeah,
I didn't know about the Trump account stuff. I, there was no such thing previously. So now it's kind of too
yeah.
late for the kids more for
It's kind of too
my
late,
kids.
right? Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think
But
the
I
another
definitely will look
thing,
for your book
Roth
coming
IRA
out.
is something. Roth IRA is
Yes.
something worth interesting because they earn less in the early part of their life.
Right.
So if they have IRAs, right, it's good to convert them into Roth IRAs so that later on they can benefit from it. That's one thing to remember
Right.
for them. And second thing to remember is that, yeah, you can just do a bunch of these other different things with them, and or even gift money to them in a way. If you do this, to gift
Right.
them investments instead of gifting them with the money directly. Uh, Difficult thing about them is like it might be harder for them to visualize how much that account will be in 20 years, 30 years. So
Correct.
that's, I don't
Yeah.
have an answer for that. If they can really understand that, they will be millionaires pretty soon.
Well, right now I'm telling them because I think you put money into anything like stocks, bonds, any of this stuff, actually it grows to a certain point. But I
Mhm,
think the real estate is the main thing. I know you are the guru in the real estate part.
mhm,
I think that's one of the biggest things. Like I know it's the real estate has gone off the roof in some of the nicer areas, but if it is just an investment property, I think that's something you should kind of tell us everybody that how to invest into certain smaller things, even if it's just a small condo outside of some nicer areas, California. I think that's another
mhm,
thing to look at because if it is grows in equity and stuff, and you can always sell it and go to another one step by step.
mhm.
But I think they have time, and they can invest into smaller things and get into the nicer ones when they actually need it.
Yeah,
So
that totally makes sense. 100% makes sense. And I think there are also studies about like what happens to your money if you invest anywhere, real estate or whatever stock, when you're in 20s versus 30s versus 40s. And the difference is millions of dollars. So it's worth showing them those studies, saying that it's easy to have fun right now and not invest. But if you actually do it now, invest now, and have a little bit of less fun, then you can enjoy your rest of the life. Essentially, that's one lesson that for older kids, I think.
yeah, I think even with instead of having a nicer car, I would say buy a smallest condo you can find,
Yeah,
and then you
yeah,
can
yeah,
still co-sign it, to get
yeah,
that
yeah.
benefit.
It's perfect. That's exactly what I
Yes.
was saying. Perfect. Yeah, cool.
Well,
Cool. Yeah, if you're interested, just let me know. We can have a call about it, and I can explain whatever.
yeah, that'll be good.
Whatever.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. This is my contact information. Email is vp@oldmoneycapital.com.
Right.
Cool. Anything else?
Thank you, Vaibhav.
All right. Thank you very much. Bye bye, guys.